Alright, hello everybody, so welcome to another Gaming Pool, a show dedicated to gaming on a budget. So today's tip is on how to save money with miniature painting. Now the thing is, over the years, board games have really taken to miniatures quite a bit. Mansions of Madness, Descent and all have really, the quality of miniatures also have exploded into a great thing. And the thing is that now, because of the miniatures, the price of the board games have risen, and on top of that, painting the miniatures adds a cost in itself. So I've been painting since 1995, and so I just thought I built out a repertoire how to save money on that, and I thought I would just share it with you today. So um, oh, by the way, shameless plug, if you are interested in my miniatures and maybe you see how the tips can work out for you in years to come, I'll put my Flickr page link below, and also I painted a Mansions of Madness set all in a Hasbro theme. That is mine. So that and some commission works that I do once in a while, which I don't advertise, but now I do. So um, the way I learned to paint basically is from eBay Metal. This one came out in 1993. Got this in 1995. Now it's by Mike McVeigh, if very famous painter. And his basic tip, I would say, that I learned from here, that was the best way to save money back in the day when he gave it, was because back then there was not like huge paint range for Games Workshop and all. Mix your colors. That's the biggest tip for today. Mixing your paints. And that's because this is Amnesty's purple. I got this in 1998, and it's basically a metallic purple. And I still got over half or maybe 3/4 of this around, and I'm painting quite a few miniatures, because the thing is that if you were to get a paint color for everything you need, the thing is you just gonna be left with a lot of standing paints, and if you don't mix them once in a while, they just will sink. The pigmentation, everything will sink to the bottom, and what happens is they can't be used anymore. So it's just not, I would feel, cost worthy to buy every paint. Rather, like back in the day, mix it up yourself. Now there is a downside to this. I'll put this up front, that it takes more time naturally, because you have to mix the paints, and I would say the biggest problem is consistency. Now for me, I've done it for many a year, and so for me, I can keep the thing consistent, and um, I don't even do the thing where I used to mix big batches of the colors. Nowadays I can just mix it on the spot. But I must admit that if you're beginning, take your time, and because to keep it consistent, you just, sooner or later, you just know how much to put on your brush to mix it together. And water's your friend. Always make sure that you have enough water to make sure that the color stays wet enough you can paint the miniature. So what are the base colors you should get? Now the base colors you get is basically if you remember your art class, the main colors are like, let's say, a white, a black, green, blue, orange, green, blue, red, and yellow, and of course brown. Now these are the base colors, is because you want the colors that, like example, you remember in art class where when you mix them, they produce any color range you want. That's important. Alright, now you got those base ones, then after you can move on to the base colors that you need for your projects. Example, if you're painting a, I don't know, let's say a more earth color, let's say Descent, Trophans, miniatures and all this, so it's everything's that, then you can start with the base colors of that, like example, maybe a darker green or whatever, but this depends on your project. So but basically, even if without that, you can start with these base colors and mix it up. Alright, now on top of that, I would suggest that you get washes. And the best part about washes are basically very liquefied pigments which flow like water, and what they do is they instantly shade a miniature. Alright, and on top of that, what they do is they help you blend. Example, if you're not at a point where you can, if you like two colors, in example, this is black, this is white, right? Like black and white, like this, you see how it stands out too much. if you use a wash, if you have the proper wash, like a black wash, and what happens is it helps to even blend the colors together, because it masks, because everything is brought the tone down. So I would suggest getting washes, but you can do it the traditional way of building it up. But because, like I say, for me personally, I learned to paint through here. So I would suggest getting washes, because and also they save you a lot of time. But like I say, if you want to bring that cost saving more, you can do the slow build up, but it's a lot of work, and I feel that watches just do the job so much faster. And the most important thing for watches for me is the blending effect, which I feel enhances a miniature quite a bit. So that's the first tip. And oh, little bit more is, anything you want to highlight, you use a white. Alright, example, if you want to and use white, but there's a caveat to this. For example, green and red, you use yellow into the mix to get the highlight, and that's the reason why. Is example with red, if you shine something red into the sun, it doesn't turn pink, it turns maybe a more orangey color, and orange is produced by mixing red with yellow. In fact, if, like example, with a brown, you can mix white as a highlight, but if you wanted a more earthy tone and more like grimy one, maybe, no, not grimy, I would say maybe more like earthy. Earthy is a good one. Earthy tone, then you can add again yellow. Again, you, like I said, you can experiment with the colors and all. You don't have to go by the pure white. And if you advance to a certain stage, I would even suggest example, like give example, I give, which is brown. The first highlight I usually use is a bone color mixed with brown, and then after that mix in a white for the final highlight, and so on. You add a bit more, that kind of thing. Depends on how far you're gonna bring the paint level. Those are just tips, because like what I'm trying to get through to you is the fact that the most important thing is actually base colors. Base colors are your friend. So you don't need the intermediate colors on it, because you can always just mix in to produce a color. So that's the main tip for mixing. The next tip I have is for brushes. Alright, now the thing is, how many brushes do you need? I feel personally that all you need is basically a standard size brush, and I will go in by what's that, 28mm miniatures like Descent, Warhammer 40,000 and all that. I'm guessing that's what you're painting. You need a standard brush, you need a big brush, and big brushes is in case you need to paint bigger images, and also it saves you time if you're painting a big ogre or a vehicle. And if you're starting out, one dry brush, just one is all you need, and after that 2 detail brushes. And I would say maybe one is a number 1 brush and the other maybe a 0 or even 00. And the big tip on brushes is, less is the thinner the tip, the better. The thing is that if you want to paint an eyeball on a miniature, for example, a 28mm miniature, you can't do it with a big brush, but you can do it with a smaller brush. So if you had to save and not get a bigger brush and buy more smaller brushes, I would actually encourage it. But of course, what happens with smaller brushes, then it takes longer to do the base coating and everything. But that's my base 5 you get. And I don't suggest getting more dry brushes, because as you go along, what happens in years to come, your brushes would naturally just, sooner or later, the bristles will spread out, and then you can just use that one for a dry brush. So just keep it to 1. Alright. And over the years, you'll build up to what I have over there, which is several brushes. And the final tip for brushes is, your first batch of brushes, invest in something that is better. Again, I know this is about saving money, but it actually does save you money in the long run, because I bought several Citadel brushes, and to be honest, they are horrible, because within weeks of painting, the bristles spread out. I don't know, I bought them several, and all of them had the same issue. I bought about 4 to 5, and maybe 3 to 4, I think, and all of them have always had that issue. So you see, what happens then, you have to keep rebuying, and in the end it adds up. You might as well buy one good set where you don't have to replace them, and if you take care of them, with using thinner and all, after you paint to remove the pigments from the brushes and all, then you save money in the long run. So in conclusion, the tips: mix your paints, get member base colors for your friends, and for brushes, buy just what you need, and keep it less is more for the tips or the brushes. So that's the tips. Thank you very much. Till next word.